We are always busy in the summertime, but this year is especially busy as we are building our house. Just this morning, we had to go out to the farm today to check in with the builder, something that I thought would take 5-10 minutes. I'm always very unrealistic about stuff like that. We actually ended up being out there for 2 hours. Multiple reasons for that. The plumber showed up, the HVAC people showed up, and for the HVAC people, they had a lot of questions because we're trying to figure out where to fit all of the air conditioner units. I shared with you a little bit in the progress update video a few weeks back that we are doing a finished and conditioned attic space. So we have 2 mini splits for that, one on each side. Then we have an AC for the first floor. So we had to chat about that and where the thermostats go. And then the builder and I were trying to figure out something about the staircase. So when we came home, it was already lunchtime and we needed to put the children down for nap, the little ones. Before we left, I threw 2 frozen roast in the Instant Pot, let those cook all morning long, and then they go to the warm function. I added some cumin and chili powder, a little garlic powder, salt, and then we're just doing sort of a taco bar. My daughter blended up some garden fresh veggies to make a fresh salsa. We had sour cream and chips, keeping all of that stuff on hand so that always if we have some meat, we can have this meal. As long as we have all of the fixins for it, it's something that we can have so fast, with the only forethought being either thawing out some quick to brown ground beef or even throwing something frozen like chicken breast or roast or even a whole chicken in the Instant Pot. That's the only forethought you really need for that, and then lunch can be ready. So we end up relying on some form of taco bar, whether we have tortillas and we can actually roll them up into tacos, or we have chips and we can turn them into taco salad with some lettuce. All the time. We end up doing that in the summer when I don't want to cook, when I don't have time to cook, very often. Another thing we rely on, because they're so hands-off and because garden fresh vegetables are more available, is sheet pan dinners. Something like a whole chicken with vegetables around it, lots of olive oil, salt, pepper. I like to crack open the chicken so that they lay flat, spatchcock it so they also can cook really quickly. Something like this is great because you can either get it going low and slow earlier in the morning so that if you're out of the house all day, you can have it ready later. Or you can roast it fast mid-morning for lunchtime or during kids' afternoon nap for dinner time. There's just very little prep work. You don't have to spend a whole lot of time in the kitchens working on this, and it's of course so delicious. Everybody loves it. I'm a lot less likely in the summertime to try something new with a recipe that, I maybe saw it online or saw it in a cookbook, and I'm just really excited to give those flavors a try. I'm more likely during these busy seasons where I don't have a whole lot of time to cook to take what I have, whatever vegetables I came across or are in the fridge that need to get used up, pairing it with some protein and flavorful things like oil, salt, pepper, garlic powder, maybe some cumin, some chili powder with a side salad and some fermented vegetables, just keeping it really, really basic and hands-off. Our homeschool routine looks a little different during the summertime. We like the break, but there's usually a point where we crave a little more structure in our day, and we don't like to get too far removed from the concepts we worked on the year before. Whether your children are homeschooled or go to school, there are plenty of opportunities to brush up on some of their skills in preparation for back to school time, and IXL is the perfect tool to do so. Thanks IXL for partnering with me on today's video. IXL is an online learning program designed to help every child reach their potential no matter their level or skills. They offer interactive practice for math, science, language arts, and social studies. They offer clear explanations to help students correct their mistakes so they can improve their skills and level up. There are lessons from pre-K all the way up to 12th grade, and everything is organized by grade, subject, and topic, making it super simple to find the support your child needs. One of my favorite features on IXL is recommendations. As your child practices, IXL recommends specific skills that will help your child build missing foundations or take the next step with what they've been learning. It is tailor-made for each student. I also love that IXL offers video tutorials made by educators that break down topics in ways that kids can easily understand. If, as a parent, you lack the confidence in a certain subject, the video tutorials really help break it down so that you and your child understand. I also like that IXL offers interactive games. These are a fun little break when learning new skills, and kids love love them. Put math and language arts skills to the test with puzzles, quests, and other games. Do your kids need a little extra academic support and structure to help them get back into school mode after summer break? IXL is a tool that can really help with this goal. IXL is offering Farmhouse on Boone viewers a 25% discount for the first year or the first month with my link in the description box below, or by scanning the QR code on screen. Family memberships start at only $7.46 per month. Thanks again, IXL, for partnering with me on today's video. The next thing I like to make when I don't want to cook is what we call either continental lunch. We call that because when you go to a hotel, it's called continental breakfast, and they just set out a whole bunch of things, and it's kind of pick your own, or some people call it a cold lunch, or if you're fancy about it, it can be more of a charcuterie style. I know that we've all relied on this at one time or another, and there is nothing wrong with it because you can just keep your pantry or your fridge stocked with a lot of the things that would make up a cold lunch and put it together very quickly. You don't have to make it fancy. Of course, I'm making a video right now, so I am going to stack it all lovely on here. It does make it fun if you have time for that to arrange it on a board, but of course you do not have to. I'm doing some meats, some raw cheese. I have hummus and almonds. Kids really get excited about something like this because it's a lot of stuff that I don't usually have, but I like to keep it around on especially busy days. This is something that we also like to do when we're traveling. There's not great options, both financially, it's very expensive to take a family out to eat, but also health-wise, it's very difficult to find any great options at any restaurant. Of course, everything's fried in seed oils. They don't have quality anything. Not saying that we don't do that too, because we absolutely will do that in a pinch. But it's great to just stop by a grocery store, pick up some fruit, hummus, meats, cheeses, crackers. If you're home, it's great to add some hard-boiled eggs to that, but if you're on the go, it might be difficult to find that option, but it does add a nice protein source. You just take what you can out of the fridge. I know some people do olives if your kids like that, carrot sticks. There's no shortage of ideas. If you do need to jog your brain on that though, put it in a Google search or a Pinterest search and just image search it. See all the different board options and you might see something that, oh yeah, I do keep that, and that'd be great to pull out. Something like, I was just thinking maybe goat cheese would be great. My kids don't all love it. I certainly love goat cheese a lot, so it'd be a great protein source to add that on there. Guacamole, avocado, little mozzarella cheese balls, any baked goods you have like bagels or muffins, chocolate, cucumbers, apples. The list could just go on and on. I am chopping one-handed because I decided to push down trash in our trash can to compact it so I didn't have to take it out when there was a can that had just been opened in there, and so I just sliced that thumb, but those things heal quickly. I'm just trying to not show you all my injury here, which makes it a bit challenging. But another lazy meal idea, and I don't want to cook idea, is a chicken salad or an egg salad, tuna salad, salmon salad. I don't know. Ours ends up being chicken salad more often than not because having leftover chicken around is something that we often have in the refrigerator. Either I will over bake chicken. So when I'm doing like a sheet pan dinner, just doing 2 or 3 chickens at one time, whatever you can fit in your oven. Or if you're putting chicken in the Instant Pot for a quick taco dinner, like we talked about earlier, storing that leftover chicken in the refrigerator for something like a quick chicken salad is just so handy. I always find that if I have the protein source of the meal, I can come up with the rest of it pretty darn easily. I am going to make some homemade mayo because I don't have any right now. I use it all in some salad dressings. We always have homemade mayo around because it is such a great base for salad dressings, but it's also handy for so many other things, especially in the summer. I find that when I make it in the wintertime, half of it ends up going to waste because we're not making a lot of foods that I would use mayo for. But in the summertime, it actually gets used up. Now I have that recipe over on farmhouseonboone.com, but it's really so simple and you can get away with cutting a lot of corners in this recipe. There's really no need to measure. I put 1 egg down in a wide mouth jar and add in a couple pinches of salt, I forget what the recipe says, but I want to say I add about a half teaspoon-ish, but again, I never measure. A little bit of lemon juice or mustard, whatever I have, about a cup of oil on top of that, and then blend it with an immersion blender. I didn't have any leftover chicken today for this chicken salad, but I did have some thawed out chicken breast in the refrigerator, so it did make for a very quick and easy meal to throw together with some pecans and grapes, onions, celery. Those are all the classic chicken salad things. I have several different chicken salad variations over on farmhouseonboone.com, so if you get sick of making the same classic chicken salad, there's a variety for easy Cobb chicken salad recipe, a Southwest chicken salad, and then of course the classic chicken salad with grapes like I have here. If you rotate through those, you can make it to where your family isn't burnt out on them. But I love the idea of cooking a bunch of chicken in bulk and having this when those busy days happen, when you don't want to make dinner, you don't want to make lunch, having the option for chicken salad, whether you serve it on some slices of sourdough or crackers or just over some lettuce to make it really easy. Something I've been making a lot on these I don't want to cook kind of days is chili, which is not a summer food at all. However, I can use 3 pounds of grass-fed beef and some onions. If you think ahead, you can make this really cheap by making up a bunch of black beans, getting them in freezer bags so that they're ready to go without having to rely on cans. And of course, you can use fresh tomatoes that you cut up. But realistically, if I really don't want to cook, but I want something healthy enough, we're not talking perfection here, something like a chili or a taco soup is so fast because I can thaw out that ground beef in less than 30 minutes in some hot water in the sink, or I can put it down into my pan with a little bit of water or broth with the lid on, turn on the heat, and thaw it out really fast that way. And that part of the meal is really great because I have quality meat source. I'm also topping it with great fresh things like cheese or jalapenos or cilantro or avocado. It's just such a great fallback. Today I'm doing the taco soup variety, which ends up being very similar to chili except for a few less beans. I think I only did 1 can of beans with 3 pounds of meat, a bunch of corn, tomatoes, still cumin and chili powder. We really like those spices. I use them all the time. I had a little bit of homemade bone broth, not a ton, but you don't need a ton in this soup because we don't like it too brothy. The kids do better with it if it's a very thick soup. I keep 1 whole refrigerator drawer full of organic raw cheddar. So I shred that up and load the kids' bowls down with that. So this is a really high protein, very filling meal. Some soups that are more vegetable based need a lot of extra things to be high protein and to be filling, but this one is not that. So it ends up being a one pot wonder that covers all of the bases for us. I do some sliced jalapenos and cilantro for me and Luke. The kids don't usually add that. They just add some cheese and sour cream. I personally love this meal. As far as taste goes, it checks all the boxes. And as far as time goes, you really don't have to think ahead on this one. As long as you have a bunch of ground beef, which since we order half a cow at a time, and we end up going through more than 1 whole cow a year, we have so much ground beef because a lot of that meat becomes ground beef. We're well stocked to make something like this very, very quickly. Some other things I fall back on when I don't want to cook that involves ground beef, and the reason I like ground beef is because it thaws so fast. And I can't say burgers on this list because you already have to have the ground beef thawed out in order to patty up the burgers. Whereas when you're just browning it, like for taco soup, chili, tacos, it can be partially thawed and you can work it out the rest of the way in the pan. We do Korean beef, so that ends up being a little bit of ginger, some coconut aminos, some brown sugar or something sweet, and some onions and garlic and salt served over white rice. We also fall back on spaghetti. You can either make your sauce yourself, or if you keep a quality sauce in your pantry, some sourdough noodles. It's not honestly my favorite meal. It's a definite fallback. I actually look forward to eating the taco soup. Spaghetti is not my favorite, but it also totally works. and feeds the family. I load it down with meat, and the kids do like it. Now, this last one is something that I typically make myself if I don't have to feed the rest of the family for whatever reason. Tonight is one of those nights. Luke took the oldest 6 kids on a canoe trip, so I have the 2 youngest, which means that I can get kids in bed really early. And on nights like that, I typically will just give the little kids some oatmeal with some fried eggs, something really easy when I'm not cooking for the whole family. But then after they're in bed, I like to make myself the same thing, so eggs, but a little fancy. I call these my egg bowls. Anytime at all that I'm alone and I need to cook for myself, this is what I do. I like it because it's tasty. It's high in protein. It's really easy to make. And if I have an excuse to not do any cooking, I'm usually not going to be spending a whole lot of time making myself something, but I still want something good. I fry up a couple eggs, depending on how hungry I am, maybe 2, maybe 3, and then I just add whatever I have. Today was a really good egg bowl day because I had feta cheese, I had jalapenos, and I love spicy. I had some herbs, some salsa, some sour cream. I also had mushrooms and onions, which I don't always have mushrooms in the fridge, but I did, so I sauteed those. It's quick and so good. Obviously also great for a breakfast, but it works for dinner as well. What are your lazy dinner ideas? What do you make when you don't want to cook, but you also don't want to get takeout or go out to eat? Let me know down in the comments below, and I really hope that you're enjoying your summer as full and busy as it may be.